With its sprawling mountain ranges and vivid scenery, Tucson attracts a variety of travelers. In an effort to increase economic prosperity, the city is growing its Geotourism campaign, which capitalizes on the unique biodiversity in the region as a component of sustainable travel.
Geotourism, the real focus is to look at the wonders of the world that are naturally occurring and organizations that focus on that so that we can get people to realize this place has value as a tourist destination outside of golf and swimming and just lying around in the sun perhaps. So I think that's really an important thing for us to be able to kind of reframe people's perspectives so that they realize that regardless of those events taking place here, there's still a lot to see in the city.
Attractions such as Biosphere 2, the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum, Kartchner Caverns, and Mount Lemmon Sky Center work together in partnership to highlight Tucson's natural and scientific wonders.
Well, it's really in its infancy right now, and I think you really need to focus locally to be able to deliver that brand promise when you take it out to market. So the focus has been basically on letting Tucson know about its amazing treasures, getting Tucson proud of what we have here.
Actually does something that no other raptor in the United States or North America does, and that is that they exhibit cooperative hunting.
About a month ago, I was behind a lady that had two children with her. One of them was probably about a year old and sacked out on her shoulder, drooling. And the other one's about 10 years old, and she was asking the 10-year-old, what was your favorite part of the museum? And he started going through a bunch of different things. And then the last thing she said is the exact thing that I'm sure Bill Carr had in mind when he had the vision to create this place. And she said, isn't it neat to know that all this stuff occurs right here where we live and we didn't even know it?
Tucson is unique in a couple of ways. One is that it is the most diverse ecosystem in the United States from top to bottom. And I don't think people locally really recognize that, and I'm not sure people in the United States even recognize that.
I think people in Phoenix may not realize that Tucson has all this to offer because in Phoenix they just see the dry deserts to assume that all of Arizona is like that, but it's really not. Tucson is totally a different world, and it's not what most people think of as Arizona. It's very lush, it's vegetation all over the place, lots of different kinds of wildlife.
First introduction to the Sonoran Desert was when I got off the airplane and drove out here for my interview. And of course, while I was here, I wanted to make sure that it would be a good match. And so I did some exploring on my own. And not only did I walk this property quite extensively, but I went to Saguaro National Park West and I drove through. And one of the things that struck me very strongly while I was doing that, I would actually stop the car, roll down the windows, and just park for a while. And the hair on my arm stood up because I could feel God here. I'm not a horribly religious or spiritual person, but this desert is really special.
We are an outdoor adventure destination. When you're in Tucson, everything you do is outdoors because of our sunshine, 330 days of sunshine a year. So really, we are what they think of when they think of the West.
What we hope to be able to do is build an excitement around these various projects that when people come to Southern Arizona, they don't just and can't just go to the Desert Museum, but they've got to go to the Desert Museum, they've got to go see Biosphere 2, they've got to go down and see Kartchner Caverns, they've got to get up and see Mount Lemmon Sky Center. And one of the main reasons that many people come to Arizona in general is the Grand Canyon. But if we can leverage those resources and not only say that you need to go to northern Arizona, but you need to come to southern Arizona, that's going to help the state as a whole because it's going to increase the visitorship to these areas potentially. It's going to create visitors who stay in the area, which means you have hotel nights, you have meals purchased, you have cars rented, and there's more than just an hour or two for them to do when they're here in southern Arizona. And that's really the key factor.